The Final Destination franchise is one of those series you watch once and never forget, and after 14 long years of hibernation, death and its twisted plans are making a comeback in Final Destination 6. But the real question is, did you actually catch all the small clues and hidden details scattered throughout Final Destination 5, the previous film? One of these subtle details, which works as a premonition of what's about to happen in the movie, shows up right in the opening scene. We see a table filled with food, but if you look closely right above it, you'll notice asphalt in a white line, just like the ones on roads, which almost makes it look like the characters are having their coffee break in the middle of a highway. When the camera zooms out, we realize it's actually a sidewalk, but not before giving us a sneaky hint about the horrific bridge accident that's about to happen. Also, if you take a good look behind Sam and Peter, you can see the name of the company, Presage. I might be losing it a little here, but that name is definitely not random, which literally means a warning or sign of something bad to come. And that's exactly what Sam has, a vision that ends up saving him and his friends, at least for a while, from dying in that brutal bus crash on the bridge. When everyone gets on the bus to start the company retreat, we get another subtle hint about what's coming next. The camera zooms in on a road sign warning that there's a bridge ahead. And if you look closely, you'll see that a tiny piece of the black sticker on the sign is missing. This little flaw hints at exactly what's about to happen. The bridge splitting in two, the bus falling, and all the chaos and deaths that follow. Seriously, that scene was absolutely insane and terrifying at the same time. If you want to uncover all 21 subtle details we found in Final Destination 5 and have your mind completely blown, come check out this video with us right now. The movie's opening scene is absolutely packed with little clues and Easter eggs. One of them is the bus number 1282. If you add those digits up, you surprisingly get the number 13. And as you probably know, 13 is considered the most unlucky number in the world. Some people take it so seriously that they even skip the 13th floor in buildings, renaming it 12A or going straight to the 14th. Later in the film, we can also spot that the news channel reporting the bridge accident is, yep, you guessed it, Channel 13, which of course is no coincidence. Now here's an Easter egg that very few people caught while watching the 5th movie in the franchise. Still on the bus, we can see a small TV screen playing a video. The quick commercial is for a company called 180 Corporate Consulting, which is a direct reference to the very first film in the series, where Flight 180 from the French airline Volare crashes. Another awesome Easter egg from the earlier movies happens when we see a truck loaded with logs driving past Sam while he's inside the bus. And if you look closely, you'll notice that the transport company logo on the side of the truck says Target Logistica. That's a direct reference to the name of the theater where one of the most brutal scenes of Final Destination 4 takes place, a theater literally called Target Theater. On top of that, the truck is carrying logs. If you rewind a bit in the movie series, you'll remember that in Final Destination 2, released back in 2003, the terrifying opening crash was caused by logs falling off a transport truck, exactly like this one. And are you also a fan of the Final Destination franchise? If so, drop the word Destiny in the comments as a shout out to Death chasing down the survivors. Now going back to this bridge collapse, at one point in Sam's premonition, we can see a Chevrolet parked near Olivia, who had just lost her glasses. And if you pause the movie at just the right second, you'll notice that the license plate of that car is RFK575. That's exactly the same license plate from Carter's car that got completely wrecked in the first Final Destination movie from 2000.
It really is nice. Get
Then, during the funeral scene for the employees who died in the bridge tragedy, if you look closely, some of the headstones actually reference characters from the previous films. For example, you can clearly see one gravestone with the name Carpenter on it, which was the last name of Nora and Tim, two characters from Final Destination 2. They survived the initial crash, but later met their fates. And speaking specifically about Nora's death, which was beyond brutal. When she steps into the elevator, there's a man carrying several prosthetic limbs with hooks, and one of those hooks gets caught in her hair, trapping her head in the door and, well, you know the rest. If you go back to one of the opening scenes of Final Destination 5, you'll see a very intentional close-up of a hook at the Presage paper factory where the characters work. Since neither we nor the movie's writers and director believe in coincidences, it's pretty obvious this was another throwback to the earlier films. But speaking of that same hook, it actually ends up playing a role within this movie too, because later on, that union guy, I honestly can't remember his name, ends up getting struck by it, which totally explains why the hook got such a dramatic close-up earlier. And no, I'm not talking about the union guy, I'm talking about the hook. But on top of that, we could also say this hook scene is a nod to one of the most iconic horror films of the 1990s, Candyman. That movie starred Tony Todd as the villain, and his signature weapon was, you guessed it, a hook for a hand. What's cool is that Tony Todd also appeared appeared in multiple Final Destination films, playing the coroner, or something like that, but basically acting as Death's messenger, warning the characters that it's unnatural for them to still be alive, just like he does in the cemetery scene. If you're enjoying the video, follow the pattern and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our upcoming content. Going back to the references to classic horror and thriller films, Final Destination 5 has another one during the cemetery scene, where the company boss Dennis mentions among the deceased a guy named Isaac, one of the 8 survivors of the bridge collapse who also worked at the same company. Seriously, I didn't like this character at all. As a joke, Nathan then says he sees dead people. That line is actually a paraphrase of one of the most iconic quotes from The Sixth Sense. At one point in the movie, we see that same Isaac snooping through the desk of one of his deceased coworkers, and that's when the most annoying character in the whole film finds a voucher for the Ming Yun Spa, which he immediately takes for himself. And if you take a closer look, you'll see it has an expiration date, June 30th, 2001. The creepy part of all this is that if you multiply the digits in that date, you get the infamous number 180. Even more bizarre, if you check out the barcode at the bottom, you'll notice the last 3 digits are 8 to 1 so, which, when rearranged, also form 180. That number really is cursed. Later on, we see Isaac heading to the Ming Yun Spa, and here's something most people don't realize. The name of the spa wasn't just randomly chosen by the writers and director. Ming Yun means the interaction between fate and free will, and we all know that predestination is exactly what the Final Destination franchise is all about. One of the coolest things about these movies is that in the premonition scenes, right before the actual accidents, you get little clues about how each survivor is going to die later on. Speaking of Isaac again, when you watch the film, he was originally meant to be the second one to die. In the vision, he's lying on the windshield of a bus that crashes directly into the water, killing him instantly. And if we go back to the spa scene, just before he dies, he's in the exact same position, lying face down, and sure enough, he ends up getting his head crushed by a Buddha statue while he's still on the ground. Now let's talk about Olivia. In the original version of the bridge scene, before Sam's premonition, she loses her glasses and gets help from the main character to cross the bridge by walking across a metal beam, but eventually she slips and gets crushed by a car. What's super creepy is that Death seems to have a dark sense of irony when it comes to how the survivors eventually die. Olivia ends up going to an eye clinic to get a new pair of glasses, and the laser ends up burning her retina. That causes her to fall out the window, only instead of being crushed by a car, she falls onto one. That's what you call some seriously twisted irony. Now let's look at the Easter eggs hidden in the gym scene where Candace meets her end. First off, if you look closely, the section in the back of the gym is section 108, and without a doubt, that's a reference to the number 180 that we've seen before in this same movie, like in the ad on the bus. And of course, it connects back to Flight 180 from the very first film. As we've seen, Death has some really eerie ways of showing that it's behind everything. When a guy plugs in a fan at the gym, if you pay close attention, you'll notice that the shape of the plug forms a perfect skull. Creepy stuff. Although there are a few other small details in Final Destination 5, these were the top 21 Easter eggs and hidden references in a film that's almost 15 years old. We're leaving 2 awesome videos for you to keep watching more cool content. Thanks for tuning in, and see you in the next video.